Welcome into Action Island presented by FanDuel, joined alongside Action's Best. It's Nick Giffen, Gilles Gallant, Sean Kerner. I'm Megan Payton. Happy Week 14. Thursday night football, the game all of you have been waiting for. The thrilling New England Patriots versus backup quarterback Mitch Trubisky and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Look, guys, before we get into the show, I'm just going to start off by saying I know you people aren't that excited for this game, but these are the times where you can make some real money. I talked to the guys before the show. They're all excited about this. They feel good about this game. They've handicapped it. So stay with us because we are going to get you a 3-leg same game parlay for Thursday night football. Action Island is presented by FanDuel. Bet $5. Get $150 in bonus bets if your team wins. This is for new users in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And look, before we start giving out our bets here and start voting, let it be clear, the Pittsburgh Steelers hold the 5th seed right now in the AFC. They are fighting, and they want to stay in this playoff race. And as we've seen, it is the year of backup quarterbacks. So let's get some fun. Let's get some action. Here's how it's going to work. Nick, Gilles, and Sean will present 2 bets. We're all going to vote one on, vote one off. At the end of this, you'll have 3 legs. I'll give a bonus bet. Let's find a way to make this game interesting. Nick, start us off. What are you looking at for the first leg?
Yeah, well, I'm actually just going to go with what I see here in the chat. No, actually, this really is my pick. I am taking the New England Patriots +6. How can I go against these luck trends? I mean, first of all, this game has a luck difference of 27. Anything 24 or more is significant. We get in some pretty significant trends if we have anything 24 plus, right? So the Steelers are second in the luck rankings and the Patriots are 29th. So that 27 place difference is important. But even more importantly, this game has a luck gap of 41%. In games that have a luck gap of at least 30% in week 13 or later, the unlucky team is, get this, 27-7-2 against the spread over the last 6 years. That is 20 games above 500 in not a massive sample size, but still a 36 game sample size. And we're 20 games above 500 in a 36 game sample size. That's pretty crazy. And if the unlucky team is also on the road, which of course the Patriots are on the road, that actually jumps to 15-1-1 against the spread. In other words, you failed to at least get your money back only once out of 17 games. That's pretty crazy. So we just got some monster luck trends here on the Patriots. And, I know the Patriots are on an absolutely awful 3-game slide where they've only scored 13 points total in those 3 games, but they actually outgained their opponents in each of those 3 games by an average of 52 yards per game. Their expected score based off our expected score metric was an average of 14.5 points in those games, right? So they really should have scored 43.5 points in those games, not 13 points. They came in 30 points below expectation, or about a little over 10 per game in those last 3. So they're moving the ball, as evidenced by outgaining their opponents, all of them. They're just not finishing drives, but that eventually will regress. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh, they have been outgained themselves in 10 out of 12 games this year. So I just like getting the points here with the Patriots, especially in a low total road dog game. That trend has hit at a 60% clip for the road dogs in low total games. Since 2009 and like 150 game sample size there. So definitely like getting the money here on the Patriots. I have this closer to 4.5 points.
We love a good luck ranking where we can find a way to back a team that everyone's kind of fading. And in fact, you're slowly convincing me, because at first I was all over Steelers in this one, but it makes sense. And I think a big key to this is it's so easy for us to watch the Patriots and see these low scores, see 0-6 last week and say the Patriots are terrible, but the defense is doing really well. They're holding teams to very little points. They're top 10 in yards allowed per game. And that's going to continue because that's been consistent. So if this offense can somewhat get some things together and just finish out the drives, I really see what you're going with Patriots +6. It's quite a big number there too, especially for a Steelers team that's going to be with their backup quarterback. What are you looking at for the second leg, or the second option for the first leg?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with, and this one's been on the rise, so you're gonna want to get it pretty quickly here. It opened at 13.5. Now Juju Smith-Schuster's receiving yards are all the way up to 18.5. I tracked it at 17.5. I put it in the sheet earlier at 15.5, and it just shows you this line keeps going up and up and up. But I still like it here at 18.5. Pittsburgh, they shut down tight ends and they shut down running backs. They're fourth in defensive DVOA versus tight end and seventh versus the running back position in the passing game, in large part because they play man defense at the fifth highest rate in the NFL. So they're able to man mark those tight ends and those running backs out of the game. That means New England will need to rely on their wide receivers. And I don't love using wide receiver 1, 2, 3 trends. We see DVOA versus wide receiver 1s or 2s or 3s. But I don't mind it as much if you have a defensive back situation where maybe a wide receiver 1 is being shadowed, because that makes a lot of sense. And Joey Porter Jr. has been doing a lot of shadowing. That's why Pittsburgh has been really strong versus wide receiver 1s this year. And while it may not necessarily apply to New England because there isn't really a strong wide receiver 1, the point is Joey Porter Jr. probably won't be on Juju Smith-Schuster the whole time, especially because Juju Smith-Schuster lines up in the slot over 40% of the time, and Porter doesn't really travel in there. So Juju should be free from Joey Porter Jr. on plenty of snaps. Even when he lines out outside, a lot of the time he may not see Joey Porter Jr. here. So I really like this spot. Juju also has just been better versus man defense. He has over a yard per route run versus man and just 0.6 yards per route run versus zone. And this is Juju Smith-Schuster's first career revenge game. He has not faced the Steelers before. Last year when he was with Kansas City, he hadn't faced the Steelers. And this year he hasn't yet faced the Steelers or the Chiefs. So a little bit of revenge spot here as well.
I love a revenge spot. You've sold me there, Nick. I don't need to hear any other stats, because not only has he not faced the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Pittsburgh Steelers are the only team he has not faced. So he's gone against 31 other teams at some point in his career. He started his career off in Pittsburgh. That was where he had the dominant rookie season. I think that there's going to be a lot of emotions playing against Pittsburgh. And I really think that New England's going to try to get him the ball. You know how we saw the graphic for the preview of this game and they couldn't figure out a player to put on. So they were like, I'll just throw Bill Belichick up there. Like, they should have put Juju Smith-Schuster for a revenge game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I love this. It is moving up at 18.5. Nick got this way lower, but we're getting it now before it moves up anymore. Okay, Sean and Jill, we've got to vote on this. We're going with either Juju over, or we are saying the Patriots are going to cover at +6. Let's vote. Three, two, one. What will the first leg be? Look at this. Oh, see, I still have it. I have it at 17.5. That's my fault. I messed that up. Juju Smith-Schuster over 18.5 receiving yards. That's how quick it is moving up. We're all on this one. I love when we can agree, especially for the first leg. It starts the good trend for this Thursday night. Jill, what were you looking at? Why did you choose Juju?
Well, this one was tough because Nick has luck rankings on one side, which is really hard to overlook. And then you've got a revenge game on the other side as well with a pretty decent matchup, because Juju has the lowest ADOT for all the wide receivers on the Patriots, as well as the yards per attempt for Zapp. He's probably not going to be that high. So I could imagine him getting 2-3 catches and going over this number very easily. It's not that I don't like the +6, but this Juju revenge game spot, there's a reason why this line is climbing, is that it's likely going to go over.
I completely agree. Sean, what was your thoughts here? I know we love to look at the luck rankings as well, but the Juju stood out to you?
Yeah, no, I love the Patriots play. I'm going to have a similar take on that, just a different angle. So going with Juju here, this line when it opened at 13.5, I was shocked because this needs to be in the low 20s at least. Yeah. Nick made a good point that he's probably not going to have to face Joey Porter Jr. much at all here. So that's going to be funneling targets his way. And yeah, can never pass up a good revenge game narrative.
And it's been 4 weeks. Let's just note that, since Juju has cleared this line, but it doesn't mean that he can't tonight. And it feels like that's where the targets are going to be. Bailey Zappi to Juju Smith-Schuster to have a big game. We'll see, New England. Okay, we're moving on to our second leg, starting with Juju as the first one. Jill, what are we looking at? Are we throwing in some touchdown props for tonight?
It's a pretty gross game for it. I will say that. I think the one touchdown prop that I would suggest for this game, though, is Ezekiel Elliott. And the main reason being is he's got 2 touchdowns this year and 14 red zone carries. I think that's important to note because that was before Ramondre Stevenson got hurt. So Stevenson is out for this one. So you're seeing that he was getting volume even before Stevenson was hurt. Now he's out. So he's pretty much the lone back there. He'll probably get at least 15 carries in this game. And the Patriots, you know, despite not being able to put up a lot of points, they do have the 5th best run block win rate in the NFL. And the Steelers' run defense, I mean, they gave up 2 rushing touchdowns to James Conner last week. They're about middle of the pack when it comes to run defensive DVOA, around 15th, 16th. And Mitch Trubisky and a quarterback, not exactly the cleanest quarterback, could probably have a couple turnovers. And if he does end up having a turnover, maybe in short field, maybe get a short field for Zeke to be able to punch it in. If that happens, again, I like Zeke a lot to be able to score in this game. So that's one angle I like. But the other one will be Pat Freiermuth to go over 27.5 yards. Receiving yards, rather. So since coming back from injury, he's played pretty well. He had 120 yards versus Cincy and 29 receiving yards versus the Cardinals after that not random quarterback change. Pickett got hurt, but again, just a lot of weather delays. That game was completely unfluxed the entire way. But Muth has actually been pretty decent with Trubisky at quarterback as well. He had 28 yards or more in 3 of the 4 games that Trubisky started last year. And this Patriots defense, again, they ranked 23rd in defensive DVOA versus the tight end. They're also 26th in DVOA to the short pass. Freiermuth has a pretty low ADOT, so that should be able to help get a couple catches in there. And so I like Pat Freiermuth to either go over 27.5 receiving yards or Ezekiel Elliott for an anytime touchdown.
I like Freiermuth on him first because it feels like this is the weak spot for the Patriots defense that has been good in the last few weeks. You go against the tight ends, and since Freiermuth coming back from that injury, he's really started to click. You mentioned his connection with Trubisky. I mean, we just saw a couple weeks ago he had over 100 yards. Is it going to be like that tonight? Maybe not, but this line is so good at 27.5. It feels like a lock at the over. Now for Ezekiel Elliott, it's hard to bet on touchdowns in a game where the total's at 30.5. It's the lowest total of the season. But if there is going to be someone on the Patriots to score, it's going to be Ezekiel Elliott. Ramondre Stevenson, he's out for this. And this is where I start to look at the season a bit global. I get that the Patriots, they're out of the playoffs. They're fighting for maybe that first pick in the draft to go get Caleb Williams. But these players are fighting for contracts. They're fighting for jobs. And Ezekiel Elliott came to New England with hopes of kind of still having that second boost to his career. And you know he's going to be fighting extra hard tonight to keep that up. So it's Ezekiel Elliott, anytime touchdown, get some good plus money on that. Or Pat Freiermuth over 27.5. Nick, Sean, let's vote. Okay, 3, 2, 1. We've got a moment. All right. Where are we going, guys? Oh, you both are going Zeke? Oh, we're going plus money. See, this is why it's great. You guys are saying it's a Thursday night game that's going to be sloppy. It might not be good. Why not make this parlay a better payout? I think Zeke on its own, by the way, for the touchdown is like plus 220. I'll confirm that. But I'm fine to get rid of Freiermuth. That one's kind of, I felt like just like your easy. A lot of people are betting on him trend. And if we want to make this parlay a bit more fun, I'm all for the Zeke touchdown. Nick, what was your thoughts there?
Yeah, well, real quick, it just moved to 5.5 at FanDuel for this spread. So
okay,
yeah, so
someone's listening.
Yeah, people are listening. Good work there. But no, I just wanted to boost the odds. Honestly, I don't want this piddly little 4-1 parlay. I want something like 6-1, something like that. No, honestly, we have pretty close to fair value on both of these. So I think in that case, just give me the one with a higher payout.
Yeah, agreed. This is a fun game. This is the time to put some real money on this. No, I'm kidding. Have some fun with it. What was your thoughts, Sean? Why did you go with Zeke?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, probably going to be a low scoring game, but that's why his odds are pretty high. If the Patriots do score a touchdown or two here, it's likely to be Zeke. He's going to have very little competition for early down work. So it'll be him likely scoring the short yardage touchdown. And Freiermuth, I do lean over here, but he's been so boomer bust this year. Even before the hamstring injury, he was held under 10 yards in 3 of 4 games. And it's just tricky with Deontay Johnson and George Pickens also commanding targets. He can be boomer bust. But I do like the Zeke play here over, +2-1 odds. I do like it there.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely good on its own too. +210 you can get. Throw it in the parlay, it'll make it good. And I think we're really not giving enough credit to Ramondre Stevenson and how much the Patriots were using him, not just obviously in the red zone too, but like just throughout the game. And I think if you can start clicking early on with Zeke, they're obviously going to use him once they get in within the 15, and we could see Zeke get it in even on the goal line. I like that. I like going fun with this one. So we've got our second leg, Ezekiel Elliott, anytime touchdown. Sean, what are our options for the third leg?
Yeah, so the first option is pretty much in line with Nick's first option. I'm going with Patriots +3.5 for the first half. Obviously in agreement with Nick when it comes to the luck rankings. Think that's a great angle there, but I really like, the Patriots stout run defense here. They rank second in DVOA against the run. I think that's going to be what helps them keep this game close, especially early on. That's probably what the Steelers want to do offensively. They've been very run heavy the past 6 weeks or so. And it sounds like Najee Harris will play through his knee injury, but he might not be as efficient. The Steelers are a team that they've only averaged 6.5 points in the first half this season. And they've only led the game for around like 16 minutes per game, which is the 5th lowest rate in the league. So they're not necessarily a team that gets out to early leads or good starts. So in what should be a low scoring first half, the first half totals around 15.5, getting that extra hook +3.5 is even more valuable here. So I just love the fact that we're getting 3.5.
I really like this too. And it's one of those bets that you can look at if you don't feel like too comfy going Patriots now +5.5 for the entire spread. This is a way to kind of say, hey, look, we're expecting it to be a bit better than it has been, but at the same time, like it gives you that extra cushion in case the Steelers do end up making a push later on in the game. So that is the first option. It's New England to cover the first half at +3.5. What is the second option?
Second option is kind of gross, to be honest. It's Tyquan Thornton over 15.5 receiving yards. This one opened up, I think it was like 12.5, but it's creeping up because it's too low. There's not that many options for the Patriots right now. But last week, when Demario Douglas was ruled out, it made Thornton a full-time player. He ran a route on 82% of Bailey Zappe's dropbacks. He ended up, of course, not catching a single pass, but there was a target where he was 40+ yards downfield. He just missed it. It looked like he slipped a little bit due to the heavy rain in that game. But if it was in more normal weather like tonight's game, he probably would have caught it and probably would have gotten 40 to 50 yards. So his final box score is a bit misleading. But Thornton and Zappe specifically only became starters last week, so they've been part of the second unit all year, all through training camp, all through preseason. So they have pretty good chemistry. They connected for a few passes in week 1 of the preseason. So they probably have the best chemistry, for Zappe specifically. And this is a line, it's gone up a little bit, but he could still clear this with a single catch. He does have a higher ADOT than most receivers. So, I like this. And he's probably going to be lining up across from Joey Porter Jr. maybe half the time. So I think Zappe is going to target whoever Levi Wallace is on. So he could see a couple targets here. So I'm projecting this, closer to the low 20s with about like a 58% chance he'll clear this. But I do like him to go over this number.
These props are getting ugly. They're getting ugly on Thursday night. We're seeing 15.5 for Thornton. Now, I'll say this because there's some people saying, hey, why would you maybe bet on any Patriots weapons to go over, especially you're hoping Zappe's going to connect. But I really think that this number is low enough that you are right. He can clear it in just one catch. And I think that would be most likely scenario. They're going to go and try to, if they're going to do any sort of like, we'll call it deep ball, it would be to him and it would be over 15.5. And it makes sense that you're liking it at this number. So 2 options there. We can go with the Patriots first half spread at +3.5 or Thornton over 15.5 receiving yards. Let's vote. Three, two, one. Do we agree for the final leg? Isn't that nice? Oh, there was only one. You guys were agreeing on all three today, so that's good. I just had one disagreement, but that is the third leg. We're going New England plus the points, plus 3.5. That is for the first half. Nick, what was your thought on betting this?
Yeah, well, a couple things. Obviously, since we didn't get the +6 or now the +5.5, plus 3.5 for first half is really good. And Sean mentioned it. The Steelers, they've led very little this year. I mean, think about all the fourth quarter comebacks they've had. Their win probability going into the fourth quarter has been something averaging in their wins below like 40%. So it's just been kind of crazy that they've gotten off to these super slow starts and then been able to come back. So definitely like getting plus 3.5 in that first half. Plus, there's no revenge game narrative here for Thornton. So that's why I also have to go with the plus 3.5 here. So yeah, like that one.
All the passes to Juju tonight. Jill, what was your thought here? Why did you go with the first half spread?
Yeah, this was more of a make good because I liked the +6, but then after Nick went with the plus 5.5 and said that the spread had moved and we already have Juju, is like, I don't know if we could do Juju and Taekwon. So once we see that the 3.5 is still there for the first half, having that valuable hook, that's the one that we got to take.
Yeah,
we can do Juju and Taekwon, and we can do Bailey Zappi over 200 passing yards alt line.
Are we throwing side parlays in? Okay, I have
and the over. I know everybody
over?
and their brother is on the under, but this game is a luck over. The luck overs are hitting at a 65% rate, and they're 2-0 in prime time this year to the over. Just pointing it out there. This game, it's crazy. We talked about those last three Patriots games.
Yeah.
The total has been horrendous in terms of where they ended up, but the expected score averaged almost exactly 30 for those last three games. And that comes against three offenses that average pretty much the Steelers offense. And one of those was in a downpour. So I like the over here. I know everybody and their brother is on the under. I'm taking the over. So we can definitely just have Bailey Zappi throw it to all the receivers.
Okay. Well, speaking of the over, Max in the live chat says Zeke 2 touchdowns, 2 or more at plus 2,100. Would you do that? Would you guys do that?
No.
No.
I'm trying to be
nice.
That's
talking about the over, but that can come from some chunk plays to those receivers as well. But I do like Zeke at least one.
Maybe Pittsburgh gets in there. I was debating on Warren too, but I feel like I've been on the wrong end of Warren every other week, so I'm staying away from him this time. Okay, we recap. We've got a good parlay for you guys. It looks like this team is a little bit higher on the Patriots than most. We are going with Juju Smith-Schuster over his receiving yard line. That's at 18.5. Get it now before it goes up even more. Ezekiel Elliott, anytime touchdown score, plus 210. And Patriots first half to cover at plus 3.5. It is all New England on this Thursday night. Lowest total of the season. I'm throwing in a bonus bet here. It kind of goes against it a little bit, but I think we can correlate it fine. I like Bailey Zappi under 159.5 passing yards. I see the Patriots running the ball a lot. Like, yes, we're going to see Juju get involved, but Bailey Zappi has not shown that he can move the ball down the field enough through the air to really expect him to clear this line. I know it's been back and forth on the quarterback situation, and who's to say that at some point during this game, Bill Belichick's not like, all right, get out, Zappi. We're putting Mac Jones back in. You have no idea what's going to happen. I actually really wanted to parlay with a Zappi interception, but that's not available for the same game parlay. So I took under his passing yard lines. Now, if we have it without that, we are at plus 688 for the payout of the parlay. And then if you add in the under to Zappi's passing yards, that brings it up to nearly plus 2,000. Lots of different betting opportunities here for Steelers Patriots. This team's riding a little bit with New England. So are we feeling good about this one, guys?
Yeah. Well, that first half, I love the first half one. I think that's my favorite of all 6 of these.
I like it, guys. Juju over, Zeke touchdown, Patriots to cover the first half. Let's lock it in. Nick, Jill, Sean, good luck tonight. Happy week 14. We'll catch you here next time on Action Island.